How not to create an exit strategy. What a crazy concept. Every company should have an exit strategy from day one. And no, it's not just M&A or IPO, we're done. If that were the case, your business strategy would just be buy low, sell high. That's what every company does. No, exit strategies are much more complicated, much more important than many people think. So entrepreneurs, investors should start with the exit strategy on day one, build that value in, and let's go. But let's talk about 9 things I see startups doing that help them to not have a good exit strategy. And the first one is to think about who's going to acquire us. And they think, oh, someone in our industry. That makes sense. And that is not a way to have an exit strategy, because someone in your industry may be a good acquirer, but you shouldn't stop there. Maybe there are people in ancillary industries that might see more value in your company. They'll see strategic value because acquiring you might have something that they don't have currently. And this gives them a chance to grow exponentially, as opposed to acquiring somebody in the industry. They may get new geographic area, new customers, that kind of thing, but probably not as much as if they're in an ancillary industry. So the second is people don't research comparable transactions. You got to use the data to figure out what a good exit strategy is. Every industry has a separate set of parameters that they work on. And so you'll see there's a sweet spot. What's the dollar amount that companies exit at? It could be as low as 50 million in some industries and could be as much as 5 or 10 billion in others. Understanding where the sweet spot for acquisition is super important. Similarly, you'll want to know what the exit multiples are. That means what's the multiple of top line revenue that you would get at an exit. Typically, I use 5x top line revenues as a benchmark when I'm starting out, but I'll go do the data. I'll look at the data and I'll research what it is, and I will model my exits based on that. The next way not to have an exit strategy is to not talk to acquirers about where they see gaps in the market. People are often in stealth mode from day one, and this can be a good strategy in the very earliest stages, but you should abandon it as quickly as possible and get out there and start developing relationships with acquirers. Talking to them about where they see gaps in the market is a great way for you to build those things into your company and create the greatest value at time of exit. And believe me, large companies are lame when it comes to innovating. They are acquiring innovation. They are acquiring new things. And I call this M&A is the new R&D, meaning their M&A, mergers and acquisitions, is the new research and development. Companies acquire new technologies, and that could be you if you understand the gaps that they have in the market. Next way not to have a good exit is don't develop early relationships with investment bankers. Investment bankers are the thing that keep you from not being the lamb going to the wolves. And believe me, the acquirers do this all the time. They go through lots of transactions. This is your first time. There is a lot of nuance, and it is not obvious. Having someone who connects you to the best people in the industry is a great friend. The next one is to not share your current exit strategy at current board meetings. And a lot of people think, we talked about that 2 years ago. This is our exit strategy. It's not going to be for another 3 years. We don't need to take up valuable board time with this. That could not be farther from the truth. Things are changing. Industries are dynamic. New competitors, new products, new technologies. You need to have all of that, and also new opportunities. That is something that the board talks about every quarter. And if you use the exit strategy canvas, you've got it all on one page. You can spend 5 minutes just to affirm that your current exit goals are what they are and move on, making sure that everyone is aligned. The next one is don't partner with potential acquirers. That is, if you don't want a good exit. Partnering with potential acquirers is a great way to develop deep relationships and hooks into companies who may acquire you. And it turns out that it looks from the outside like you just meet a company, they acquire you 3-6 months later. No, acquisitions technically take a long time. And if you have a relationship with them, especially a strategic partnership, then you are building up that trust, building up that value proposition, and that will help you get to that early exit. The next one is don't think about the exit when figuring out your rounds and valuation, how you price them, and how many rounds you're going to do. Because guess what? Your investors are doing that work. The investors are thinking, hey, I need to get my 10 to 30x or more And how am I going to get this with this company? Somebody who hasn't figured out the comps, hasn't figured out what the exit is going to be, how long it's going to be, and how big it's going to be, and then how many raises they're going to have, how many first raise, second raise, third raise, fourth raise, cumulative dilution. That's all part of the math that goes into figuring out as an angel or early stage VC investor what makes sense. So definitely build that into your valuation models because you could get yourself out over your skis and not even have a good chance for an exit. Another thing I see all the time is well-meaning advisors, even accelerators, tell people, don't worry about your exit strategy, just get big. Well, I'm going to tell you that getting big, it can help. Absolutely. You're seeing out there in the market and offers probably will come, but they may not be the best offers. So grow big, that's great, but that's not a great exit strategy by itself because strategy trumps size. I have seen so many companies who've sold for billions of dollars without having lots of revenues. And for us, we want to get an exit earlier rather than bigger. And so the way to do that is to understand strategy. Again, filling those gaps for incumbents and focusing on strategy so you have the strategic multiples rather than just revenue multiples. So finally, I think of an acquirer as your second customer. Your first customer is the one that your accelerator and your advisors and everybody talks about, the person or company who buys your product or service, and you think about your unique selling proposition, and that's super important. You need that. But the second customer is the company who acquires your company. And that also has a unique selling proposition. It also has the need to create those relationships, think about what they need as a customer, and build that value into your company from day one. Those are 9 ways I've seen companies thwart their best interests in getting a great exit. So don't do those, and maybe you'll do well. And if any of this is useful to you, please like and subscribe, and better yet, join us at Rocky's Venture Club. For investors, we've got top quality deal flow, great due diligence. We've got a community of like-minded investors. We've been doing this for over 40 years and hundreds of deals. If you're an entrepreneur, join us for our Hyper Accelerator program. We've got self-paced programs or live programs where you can get the best information, the best strategy from anywhere. You can find us at www.rockysventureclub.org.